Your support of Relay for Life makes these mission moments possible.
Hathare everybody, Jason once again here to tell you that we are now in the home stretch of the first ever virtual Relay for Life. We are having an absolute blast coming together as a community, as one family, continuing to show our hope, our support, and our love for the people that have been affected by cancer. And we have some more of our parade of teams, starting off with our friends at the Bank of Hawaii.
When you purchase a vehicle from our dealerships, we give back to the American Cancer Society and Guam Cancer Care. With your help, together, we've raised over $400,000, giving local cancer patients a gift of more anniversaries, more birthdays, more years, more days. Together, we're giving them the gift of time. Triple J, customers first.
My name is Joe Garrido, and alongside me is my primo Robbie Garrido here. This song we're about to sing is called Un Dia. It's an original song that I wrote. Hope you guys enjoy it. Jesus Masi, and thank you for supporting the Relay for Life and helping the American Cancer Society save lives. Ay gwela, san gwela, man maholan hamnu hamzu, inhasu hamzu todo idempu, sa tiben malefa ni tempun minago. Ay man maholang ham, low man kuntentuhan, un dia sempre manhita, un dia sempre mandanya y familia. Está en tingo na dumiska kansa isagan mizu wela dan welu. is that I GUAM duty free yun mommy. Si Zeus maosi bibidan bidyo para amin. Por favor, taloni amo lagi kariran mommy. Un día sempre manhita, un día sempre mandanya y familia. Está intingo na dumis ka kansa kisaganido. Gwela dyan gwelu. Adayam Tehian Panoguyam Nuitalan linala Tafanalitalu Undi agi sa gansu Undia sempre manhita Undia sempre mandanya y familia Está intingo na dumis ko kansa isaganido. Gwela dyan gwelu.
Hi, everyone. I'm Desiree Behringer-Carton, Director of Communications for the American Cancer Society, and we are pleased to have one of our very own American Cancer Society funded researchers joining us from Boston, Dr. Shannon Stott, Assistant Professor at Mass General Cancer Center and Harvard Medical School. Hi, Dr. Stott.
Hi, Desiree. Thank you so much for having me here today, and thank you to all of you that are watching to learn a little bit more about what my group is doing in the laboratory.
So we appreciate you being on the show with us. So your American Cancer Society grant is aimed at helping brain cancer patients. And I understand your lab has developed a device that can measure different types of tumors in cancer patients. Can you tell us about that, and what does the device look like?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, our lab is very interested in figuring out how we can learn more about brain tumors as well as how we can treat them more effectively. Specifically, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I focus my energy on building devices. And you had mentioned one of our devices, which I'll hold up right here. So this is a disposable microfluidic device. It looks a little bit like a DVD player, and that's because we use the same technology that makes DVDs to make these devices. But what we use it for is to have patient blood go through the device, and we want to pull out biomarkers or little snippets of the patient tumor from their blood so that we can understand, one, if the tumor is there, and two, how the tumor might be responding to a particular treatment. What we're actually targeting are rare cancer cells or circulating tumor cells that will break off from the tumor and enter into your blood. The challenge is that these cells are really rare. They're 1 in a billion. So we use technology like these microfluidic chips so that we can pull out something so rare, and then we can look at those cells and learn more about the patient's tumor without having to surgically go in and biopsy that patient's tumor. And so for brain tumors specifically, it can be really hard to go in and have an intracranial procedure just to learn about whether or not what type of tumor you have or what type of treatment would be best.
What drew you to this kind of research? Because it's fascinating.
For me, as a mechanical engineer, I originally started off studying air conditioning and refrigeration. And so I was looking at fluidic flow, but it wasn't blood flow. And then as I was going through graduate school, I had a family member who was diagnosed with cancer, and as she was going through her treatment, unfortunately, the treatment that was paired with her tumor didn't work effectively for her tumor. And it was something that was really powerful and also motivating for me to want to use my engineering skills for something that can better help cancer patients. And I started looking to see where I could go so I could apply these engineering tools. And Mass General Hospital had a wonderful group of engineers and clinicians working side by side, trying to develop new technologies for cancer patients. And that's where I knew I had to be.
Well, we're so thankful that you made the switch. How's the American Cancer Society funding impacted your career?
It has had such a major impact in my career, and I don't say that lightly. When I decided that I wanted to do cancer research, anytime you're working in a lab, it's a little bit like your own startup company. You can only do work if you actually have funding or people that say, I believe in this idea and you can push it forward. And so as a postdoctoral fellow, I wanted to do cancer research, but as I mentioned earlier, I worked on air conditioners and refrigerators. And so as I was applying and saying, this is the type of work that I want to do, many of the funding agencies were replying with, this is so high risk, she's never done cancer research before. And it was really difficult to get that funding that I needed. And fortunately, the American Cancer Society has a really great focus on funding researchers at the earliest stage in their careers, and they're also willing to go with more high-risk projects. And I'm so grateful that as a postdoctoral fellow, they took that risk with me so that I could spend 3 years developing the first generation of the technology. And now, over 10 years later, I'm my own independent PI, and I have a research scholar grant, and it really allows me to just drive full force in cancer research, which is exactly where I want to be.
We're so appreciative of you. And now more than ever, cancer patients, need you and your hard work with, the research that you're doing, and we need the funding for cancer research. So thank you so much, Dr. Sott, for joining us. We so appreciate you, and thank you for all that you do in the fight against cancer.
Thank all of you as well. Appreciate it.
Cancer is a word, it's not a sentence. There's a lot of energy going into fighting cancer and finding a cure that, there's a lot of hope out there. Nobody my age gets colon cancer, is what I said. Three years ago, I started having really bad pains in my abdomen. I like to describe it as like the movie Aliens, with alien trying to punch its way out of that guy's abdomen. That's what it felt like. It was really bad. So, that week I went to the doctor, and we just started checking things off the list. 3 months later, the doc was like, you know what? We're just gonna have to get a colonoscopy and see what's going on in there. Now, I was 38 at the time. When you're 38, colon cancer is not in the picture at all. I remember, because they drugged me, so I was already becoming out of it. Right before I passed out, I remember hearing the doctor say, there it is. 2 days later, I was in a hospital room getting a partial colectomy. They cut out a section of the colon that has the tumor, and then they put the colon back together again.
Colorectal cancer is cancer that occurs in the colon or large intestine and or rectum. Colorectal cancer is one of the deadliest forms of cancer on Guam, but this doesn't have to be. The key is timely screening. Screening allows us to find the disease early and give the person the best chance to beat the cancer. My mother had colon cancer. As a result, the fight against cancer is both a professional and personal one for me.
So now the next step is, did it spread? Because that's part of the operation. They take some lymph nodes and then they send it off to get it checked. It didn't spread. All my lymph nodes were clear, so we just started treatment after that just to make sure, we kill whatever we can't see.
Sadly, Guam falls far behind the rest of the United States for timely screening for colorectal cancer. This may be contributing to the higher rates of mortality amongst Chamorros in comparison to the rest of the United States. For the average person, screening should begin at age 50. But as we learned from Frankie's story, it can occur at a younger age, and this can be dependent on certain risk factors, such as family history.
After the operation, time just kind of went, okay, now you have time to think about this. Because, you know, I'm nursing my wounds, you know, I'm at home, and I had to tell my son I have cancer. He was a junior at the time, and I just told him I have colon cancer. Do you know what cancer is? And that I feel fine, and I feel pretty optimistic I can get through this. He was like, all right, you know, if you don't worry, I won't worry. And I said, okay, good deal. I was like, that's a deal. You know, with colon cancer, you don't stage it by the size of the tumor, you stage it by how many layers of the colon it's gone through. And so there's 7 layers to the colon, and stage 4 is obviously all 7. But I got staged at 3.
Late-stage colorectal cancer can be deadly. The best way to check for it is with a colonoscopy. But there are other simpler methods. This includes checking your stool for blood with a fecal occult blood test. As many of my patients can attest to, I make it a regular habit to ask them about their poop or their bowel movements. Frankie had pain, but by then, the cancer was advanced. In the early stages, there may be no symptoms. Screening catches problems, so know your poop and speak to your doctor.
Before I was diagnosed, I was a broadcaster. I did sports. What's funny is that my friends would introduce me. They'd be like, hey, this is a guy on the radio, or hey, this guy on TV. You know, I'm like, you don't have to introduce me as that. But when I got cancer, you know, it was almost the same sort of feeling. I don't want to be known as the guy that, you know, has cancer. Oh, there's Frankie, you know, the guy with cancer. Then I got a call from the American Cancer Society saying, hey, you're the hero of hope, and would I be interested in fulfilling the role? So they explained to me what was involved, and I guess with my previous broadcasting background, it kind of just fit in. I didn't argue with it. I just said, okay, I guess I'm going to be the face of cancer on Guam.
They are our mothers, our fathers.
I have a little more clarity in life, and what's important, and what to worry about, and what not to worry about. Nobody has to die of colon cancer, period. If you're 50 and older and you get your colonoscopies, you know, you're going to find it before it even becomes a problem.
So please, make it a point to talk to your doctor about your possible risk factors and when you should start screening.
And really, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your life. You know, just don't give up. There's a lot of hope out there.
Our community is always full of some truly amazing Guamanians who are doing everything they can to help those affected by cancer. Here now, before we go to commercial break, some more of your neighbors doing what they can.
Shout out to all the cancer survivors. We will beat this.
Some days there won't be a song in your heart, but sing anyway.
Cancer, we're gonna beat you. We are strong and we will prevail.
Believe there's hope for a cure.
Your support of Relay for Life makes these mission moments possible.